Missourians will be voting on sports betting, abortion, and the minimum wage this November. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft approved the petitions today. Voters will be asked whether to raise the state minimum wage and require paid sick days, legalize sports betting, and legalize abortion. There has been no organized opposition to the first two, but the abortion petition has already faced many challengers.
This campaign is about who gets to make personal and private decisions about pregnancy and abortion care, you and your loved ones or out-of-touch politicians.
Missouri was the first state to ban abortion following the overturning of Roe v. Wade.